morning. Hi, guys. It's Tiffany.
And I'm Carrie.
And we are the Metaphysical Moms, and this is the JoyRide Show. Thank you for joining us. If you are catching us on YouTube or if you are catching us on Facebook Live, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share so that we can share the love here with our Joy Tribe.
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm good. I was instructed to speak slowly.
So I'm getting my sand pail and my sand shovel, and I'm going over to play in her sandbox today.
You did. You actually showed up this morning.
I showed up this morning. I'm playing in Carrie's sandbox today. She's so excited. I'm like, slow ground, slow your roll. Because today's show is all about hidden in plain sight, how aliens, extraterrestrials.
I like that.
Extraterrestrials are living among us, have lived with us for centuries, and are here. And disclosure is something that's on everybody's lips right now about how information systems and technology and that we're part of a galactic family is right on the horizon of being a thing, like a normal mainstream thing. And there's been so much historical support for aliens, and at the same time, it's widely discredited, it's dismissed, it's hushed up, it's cloaked in conspiracy theories. But Carrie has been fascinated. You should see her bookshelf. It's full of alien extraterrestrial life books.
Well, it really is, and I was getting ready to give all my books away, and then we decided to do this type of show, and I pulled them all out, and they're all over my dining room table. And so
there's a lot of them.
There are, and really what I wanted to do, there are so many things that I know a tiny bit about, and I've created this idea in my head of what I think or what my impression is, but I don't really have a lot of backup stuff, to verify it. So we've decided to jump in, and maybe this might be a series. And I wanted to start with just what is, not what the ideas are behind it. I mean, of course, you can't talk about it without talking about kind of how things have been used or how things have been perceived. But I would like to kind of stick with the archaeological facts. So, Tiffany.
So I don't know that anybody can verify it at this point. It's just not something that's publicly verified.
Right.
But there's so many people who are having their own experiences. There's 6 seasons of ancient aliens on the History Channel. There's so much information out there about how technology and archaeology and architecture has been so influenced that we don't understand how or why. So we're saying that what if the alien civilizations is not as alien as we think? And so we're just going to chat today. We're going to kibitz back and forth and chat, and you're going to teach me because I know a little bit, but you know a lot more than I do.
You know a little bit, I know a little bit more, and I know that we have some guys out there that know a lot more. And so we'd love for you guys to weigh in and tell us what you think and tell us what you know, because we can learn. We can all learn here. So, and then there was one part where Tiffany got really moved. We were doing research this morning and kind of going through things. So whenever we pop onto that one, I like to go there, and
so
she might cry.
Hello to Sue. Hi to Kalita. Hi to Melanie. Hi Terry. Hi Steve. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. Weigh in. We want this to be an interactive conversation. So if you have any alien encounters or insights or sources of information you feel are credible, we want to hear it because we're really interested to learn more.
Okay, so last week I was at lunch with my boys, and we were sitting outside, and this is really where I got the idea. We were outside, and there was only one other table, and I hear this person. She said, I saw this alien craft last week. It was just this huge spaceship, and you can't deny it. And the guys she was with were like, yeah, and so-and-so. And I raised my hand and said, guys, I really want to hop in to your conversation. And I did. Yeah, I'm really bad about that. And so I thought, if everybody's talking about this and it's on NPR, anyway, let's just get to it. We will quit crediting it, but it's
well, so we've recently had James Gilliland and Ashley from the East City Ranch, and beautiful, eloquent people who are, that's what they do, is they take people to have contact with their star families and make it just a more normal mainstream thing without all of the Hollywood hype and the doomsday and the, like, what does it mean, and all the alien invasion stuff. What if it's not that at all? So,
well, and I think, I mean, and some of the stuff I read, I mean, we really do say, oh my gosh, they're coming in and they're going to harvest us and they're going to enslave us and they're going to kill us. And I think if they wanted to do that, they would have done that. I mean, I personally, but, you know, and I was reading in Australia, there was this one spot where these crafts landed and they knew it. They built a park around it. I mean, they actually said, woohoo, look what happened here. And where our government said,
a historical place, and they built a children's park, all space themed, like this is where the aliens land.
How cool is that?
And here we call it Area 51, and
we're not supposed to know about it.
Underground bunkers.
Which makes us all want to know more. I mean, isn't that the way it is with kids? You know, it's like, don't touch that, really? Can I not touch it? And then as they touch things. So I would, okay, where I would like to start is I would like to start with the crystal skulls.
Okay.
And this is the most fascinating thing. And please, if you know something that I'm getting wrong, let me know. So here is the idea. So there are these skulls, and they popped up, most of them, you know, in Mexico, Guatemala, and the idea behind it is they were given, the Tibetan monks were given these 13 crystal skulls, and they were told to give them out as you see fit. And somehow, you know, they've sort of popped up all over the world and in some really interesting spots. But there are two that have been absolutely confirmed, and it's Max, and the other one is, I keep calling it the Shana Na. It's not. It is the Shana Ra. And they're huge, and they're made out of.
So how big are they? Are we talking
crystal.
Human size, head size, large?
No, they're like 11 pounds, all the way up to I think 18 pounds. They are
Human
huge.
size.
And some of them, they have a jaw that actually moves,
right?
And there are no machine marks on them. And so they said to do that, it would take about 150 years of papering them, you know, like sandpaper and chipping them away, and they're just remarkable. And then the experiences people have around them. And Max is one that he lived in Houston for a long time, and I think the way the story goes with this one is that it was given to a Tibetan monk who from the I can't say the word.
Mayan?
Thank you. Elder. And then this fella came to Houston, I think I have that right, and he was this great healer. And so this child was really, really sick. Her mom brought her to him, and he had the skull on
the mantle.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Max is on the mantle.
And, you know, I don't know if it healed her, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure it did, because the mom stayed and she worked with him for a long time. And so then he gave it to her. And so now you can actually spend time with Max. Max will go around to different spots, and I think you get your
5 minutes with Max.
Right. I think it's a little bit more than that. But yeah, and people get these downloads, and they all kind of see the same thing. So it's really incredible. And then the Shana Ra is the same way. I mean, they know it's thousands and thousands of years old. Is that incredible?
Well, I know way little about the crystal skulls, other than they're this phenomenon that I'm so intrigued, because I know that we have crystals in our computers that store memory. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that these are apparently, these quartz crystal skulls are apparently encoded with incredible information if you know how to access it, if you have the right frequency and the right technology to access the skulls. And that, so who gave them? Who made them? Or who told somebody to make them? I mean, that's where the big question is, because they're like 10,000 years old or something, right?
Well, yeah. What I've read is that they were actually they were brought from outer space, and that it is believed that for so long we just walked hand in hand. I mean, that these folks were here, and we'll get into that and some ideas behind that, but that it wasn't different, you know, that it wasn't, ooh, they're an alien. I mean, it was just a part of everyday life, and that they were given these 13 skulls, and I think if you bring them back together, something's supposed to happen, and I think that's what.
So have they found all 13? Are they all
I
in
don't think
evidence?
so. Some of them, two of them, I think the Smithsonian had were fakes. They found the machine marks on them.
So probably a lot of people have tried to knock them off.
Sure. Yep.
And I think it's a Channeling Eric video where they had Eric talk about the crystal skulls, and he gave a lot of information that they were all supposed to be a wireless phone device, so they were put all over the world, and that the people who knew how to access them could all get the same information. That's why you see pyramids, you see some of the similar technology all over the planet.
So did you see Fred last week? He was over there
Max
with Donna.
Max is talking.
Max is wagging.
Talking to about Donna, but this information could be And so now that we have the concept of a wireless phone with crystal inside it, you're like, well, maybe there's something to it. Even though it sounds far-fetched. Why not?
Why does that sound? Oh, okay. So that brings me to the next thing. The pyramids. Holy cow. I mean, and we would like to at some point go into these these monoliths and all of these incredible things. But the placement of the pyramids, phenomenal. So there is this world grid. There is this, I'm going to get my note. Okay, so there is this, it's the location of the pyramids. It sits at the meeting point between the longest line
latitude
and the longest line
longitude.
Yes, and so it's perfectly placed. And they say that the pyramids, because they're all over the world, and so that there is this network, and it's exactly that. It's this system. What you were talking about, the wireless, the communication. There are all these different ideas, or maybe they help fly. And I think I wasn't going to go into that, but I will. I mean, that they believe these grids, these ley lines are on the earth for the energy, like the different energies run, and that they knew exactly where to place them. And you can't tell me, I mean, forget how huge these things are and how did they build them, but how did they put them in just that right spot?
And geometrically perfect precision and the cutting. And so when we were researching, we were talking about the pyramids and talking about Nikola Tesla and his work with electromagnetic energy and creating machines that can harness this free energy that is surrounding us, and that we have this worldwide energetic power supply just in the air. The air is just charged. All of these electrons are just charged, and that if we're flowing in a stream of it. And I mean, if somebody looked at the electromagnetic structure of the planet, that's why our compasses face north and south, because it's just embedded it's in the earth. It's coming from the earth. And I wish I knew more about this, because I feel like a 3-year-old trying to explain this. But that energy, if we knew how to harness it, you can actually, it's so much power. You could levitate huge blocks. You could transport them up onto pyramids if you knew how to harness that kind of energy. And the theory is that they used to know how to do it, and that we used to know how to do it. That advanced technology was shared by other civilizations with the humans, and that it was just common everyday practice. And so when I'm reading all this stuff about this energy, it's electromagnetic energy, and it's embedded in the ground, and that we need to ground ourselves to, I'm going all over the place, but there's the positively charged ionosphere, and then there's the negatively charged earth, and that we're so insulated from the earth with our shoes, and we're up on concrete and up out of the earth. We are not grounded, literally, and that we need to ground ourselves. So I've been all into that in the last couple of weeks, looking at how to ground the beds, how to ground the house better, to kind of counteract all of these electromagnetic fields that we run into with all of our electronics and our computers. I mean, we're just wireless technology.
Yep.
And if we don't ground ourselves, there's a lot of medical doctors now that are thinking that is creating inflammation in the body, which is at the root of most of our illnesses. And so if we don't physically ground ourselves, it causes imbalance in our electromagnetic system. And we're a magnet. Our heart is just producing this electromagnetic field. And we don't understand the influences of all of this stuff that's around us. So I literally this morning, I'm reading all this, and I intuitively know it, and I've been playing around with it, but we were reading these blogs and articles and scientific journals about it, and I literally burst into tears, because I'm like, this is so true. And Carrie's all interested in the aliens, but I'm all interested in earth energy and our own personal energy. and it works perfectly together.
We're grounded.
Yes, we work perfectly together. The positive and the negative make a circuit. So there's
like
something to
that.
this, and I don't know enough, but I'm excited to share it with you because when I learned more about grounding and how to make the grounding mats for your beds or to put under your feet when you're on your computer or just walking outside every day with your bare feet helps to ground your energy, but to also do that for the earth. That's what these pyramids were for, were to connect and ground. I'm not saying that very well, but that's what this whole
No.
the pyramids were to help bring
was
this energy in and ground
The
it.
system. It created
circuit.
this grid all around the world. And if you look at like the Bermuda Triangle, and you look at which some people say that's where Atlantis was, and you look at Giza, and you look at the temples in South America or Easter Island, you know, way down south of Chile, all of those things created this circuitry.
Well, you said there were 13 points that were created, and that the pyramid was one of the major points. And if you look at the lost continent of Atlantis, which would have been off the eastern coast of the United States, Bermuda Triangle, think Bermuda Triangle, that's where the lost continent of Atlantis was legendarily supposed to be, and the pyramids was placed. Okay, tell me what that was. The giant pyramid of Pisa, the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Pisa.
The Leaning Tower of Pisa, forget that.
No.
The giant pyramid of Giza was placed perfectly within all of the continents,
Right.
if you included Atlantis.
Exactly. And
As
yeah.
like a battery for this power grid.
Exactly. Well, that's what you said, and I think that's, you know this more than I do. When you really got into this, it's like, okay, that one's yours. But no, that's exactly right. And going back to that, I just want to say that my son, I have one of my sons. I just remember when he would fall asleep. I mean, this big. He'd flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, and he does. He gets really amped up at night, right before he goes to bed. Sherwin, you know which one I'm talking about. And he ended up, and that's what we were talking about yesterday, is that if he could ground, or if we could somehow get that out. And I actually ran that by him, and he was like, Evan fell right asleep. So her son has a grounding blanket,
Yeah.
and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And Jack said he was out within minutes.
Yeah.
No, so, and usually her son is the one that's like roaming around our house after all the
Can't
kids
go
go
to
to
sleep
bed.
at night.
So,
Okay, hold on. I want to go because Sarah Kajawa. Hi, Sarah. Oh, today is Adam's fourth.
today or tomorrow?
No, it's today. Today is Adam's angel anniversary. So we are sending a shout out of love to you and the whole
And
Kajawa
Adam.
family and Adam. And we'll do our fireball shots tomorrow when we have.
We are?
on Thursday when we have lunch.
We're doing fireball shots at lunch.
Well, I am because I haven't done mine
Oh, you
yet.
have to do your
But
shot.
Sarah is saying Carrie and I had a private session 3 years ago with Max, and it was an awesome healing experience. Okay, we need. Why do I not know this?
I know.
Okay, you're gonna have to fill in the details, and then next time we talk, we're gonna have to get all the
wait,
juicy story.
what did you experience?
And Sue is saying if we go to ESETI, she's coming along with us and she wants to see the crystal skulls. And all right, so Sarah, we want the story here, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
And okay, so Pam, we're talking about grounding sheets and buying from earthing.com. I've actually been online looking at them and looking at making my own with copper wires and grounding them outside because I don't even think my house is grounded. It's an old house.
My pool's grounded finally.
And I don't think my house is grounded. That would be an important thing to have your pool
No,
grounded.
they changed my light. This man changed the light in my pool. They didn't ground it.
You know how dangerous that is? To have
You
ungrounded
fry.
light? Yeah.
You could potentially fry.
Okay, problem
we did.
solved. We digress.
All right.
But,
Okay.
what's on your list?
Okay, Giza, we're done. Okay, and so then, and I know that there's probably so
Well, the
much more
concept
there.
of this is hidden in plain sight. That this alien technology, this evidence is all around us, and we go look at the pyramids and get a picture with it. And
that's really cool. How did they do it?
how did they do it? Don't really give it a second thought. I know a lot of people are studying it, but just the general population, we don't give it a second thought. What if this is all hidden right here in plain sight, and we just don't know what it is?
Or one day things become known, and we're like, oh my God, that so makes sense. How did we miss that all these years?
Well, that's what I said. I was reading about all this energy, and I literally burst into tears. I was like, that makes so much sense to me.
All right, I'm moving on. So it is, before you cry, so the ancient, there's this great website, and it's called ancient-code.com. And he puts a lot of cool stuff up there. And it's so they have in Mexico, recently they found it 13,000 feet, this pond. It's a natural pond. and it has rocks in it, and the rocks all form the shape of the different galactic solar system universe. I mean, it has all these, and it's perfectly placed. Who did that?
Like it's a little garden pond? Or
No. It's a pond. It's a big pond.
And
so
nobody
anyway,
did
go
that
on
on
there and check it
purpose?
out. Nope, nobody did on purpose. Well, they don't know. That's the thing. So okay, so
Like, how did they know?
How did they know? So I'm waiting for Mitch to hop on to tell us more about Baalbek. So we'll go back to that. I want to talk about giants.
Talk
Are you
about
ready?
giants, yes.
Okay, late 1800s, early 1900s, they started. I mean, they started excavating these giants, huge. I mean, as large as like 15, 20 feet down to a small little
giant, 7 foot.
7-footer. Yeah, and
A midget giant.
and some of them were fake. And the Smithsonian said they're all fake. Well, they weren't all fake. There is another fella recently. I say recently, like in the last 15, 10 years, he went through, and I'll put all this stuff up. You guys can go look at it and kind of see what you think. And they went through the different temple mounds, like the burial mounds. They went through these different places, and they said, no, these are true. There are some that are hoaxes, but they are true. As late as 1976, they have found them. And they're just these massive people, and they
So they're
believe
skeletons?
they're skeletons and verifiable. I mean, they're human, but so the whole idea is that there were giants that walked among us years ago, which leads me to Easter Island. So, everybody has seen the big heads, and they buried, or they've dug them up, and they realized that they're actually people. They're actually whole.
They're
whole
full
bodies.
torsos or full bodies, legs too?
Yeah, but it's like a
It's like a
statue.
Okay.
So they're not like separate legs, or are they? And so the idea was when who was it that I had all this written down. Anyway, I've done all this in the last day and a half, and so it's kind of swimming in my head. But the folklore behind this was there were two red-haired groups of people: the long red hairs and the short red hairs, and they were giants. I think they were giants, and they were giants. And the short-haired kind of did all the work. The long-haired kind of cracked the whip. And so the short-haired got mad, and they killed the long-haired. And so then when we came through, when I say we, I mean European, Western, when we were out, trying to find everything, we destroyed all the evidence and turned them Christian, is the idea. And so we don't really know what happened. But there is an idea that these things, these huge, massive, tons and tons and tons, I mean, they're so big and they're so heavy that they walked into place because they can't figure out how they made them over by the volcanoes, and then they would drag them to where they currently are.
And stand there looking out over the horizon.
That's what they think, is that they sort of protect this area, is the idea.
But why do Western civilizations do that? Go in to discover land and then obliterate or reprogram
To
the
the victor go the
indigenous.
spoils. That's what we do.
I know. It just, then we lose all of that evidence, all of that technology, all of that culture, all of the wisdom that came with the indigenous people. We've done that all over the globe, and it just makes no sense to me.
But that's what so when you conquer a land, and I'm not saying it's okay, I'm just saying I think this is the idea behind it, is that that's a heathen devil way, and that we need to re-educate people on the truth. And this is our truth, therefore it must be true for everyone. And we're going to burn all the evidence of, where you came from.
To the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking here at all the comments, and Carrie said she went and had, Carrie Mina. Hi, Carrie. She had a session with Max. I cried like a big baby with Max.
No,
Surprise.
Carrie cried? No.
And who was it? Somebody was saying they have another row of teeth. Oh, Lisa Smith is saying the skeletons have a second row of teeth too. I didn't know that.
Oh, that's cool.
There's so much interesting stuff
shark.
out there. See, we're we're metaphysical moms. We're interested in this. We're learning on the internet. I've never had an extraterrestrial experience other than when we're laying out on the golf course and we're calling for craft and we're seeing lights in the sky move all around. That's been about the extent, but I just intuitively know there's so much more going on than the obvious. My family went to a state park recently, and they have this lookout point, and it's all just prairies and trees and rivers, nothing there, it's all nature. But there's a big plaque saying, here on the side of Washington on the Brazos, there used to be this big town, and there was this thing, but it's all since been burned and destroyed and time. And if to look at it, you would not know that there had been anything that lived there before. It just looked like nature. But there used to be this civilization there. And so when we only see our bubble in the present moment, I think we have no concept of the depth and breadth of history.
Right.
And so I just know from my experience, there's so much more going on.
So there was a book that I read years ago, and it was a Clive Kessler book, and it's sort of like the man's version of a love story. It's all about spies and this and that. And they were saying they were getting ready, the powers that be were getting ready to destroy who we were now, and they were starting over. And there were these caves where they said, we have done it 6 different times. And this is just a fiction, like James Bond type thing. And where they had done it and they had proof, but they had hidden the proof that we had started over. Because we kind of think, at least I think, that we started here and we are now here. We started at 2000, at 0, and we're now at, 2018. And we have made all of these advancements, but it kind of boggles your mind to think that, how many times have we done this? How many times have we started over?
Well, and when James Gilliland was on, he fire hosed us for like an hour with the history of the cosmos and the intergalactic wars and all the different agendas and things that had been happening here and why we created and destroyed Atlantis and Lemuria and blah, 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 and all the different... and I was kind of a deer in the headlights because it's such a
You were a seed being fire hosed?
I was a seed being... He's like, yeah, don't fire hose the seedlings. So I'm a little seedling. And so it blows my mind. So I love that you're looking at the evidence that's all around us that we're all familiar with, we've all heard about, and saying, what if this is part of it? What if this is part
really
of it?
real? Well, and my idea too is, what if, okay, so let's just talk about this. What if disclosure actually happens? Real disclosure. Not it's fed to us through NPR and CBS and NBC, but real disclosure. I think that we have been programmed that they're nefarious, they're bad, they're so advanced, and I don't think. What if that's not really true? What if they come and they're here to help us get to the next place? What if the technologies they bring are, free energy that's clean?
It's already here. Just
free
teaching
medical.
us how to access it, how to heal our bodies.
Exactly.
It's all here.
Or
so we don't
free
destroy
medical.
our beautiful planet.
Exactly. And so, and what if that's the case? And so I would love to go on, I'd love to get out in front of that and say, let's not panic if something like that happens. And I say that because, again, NPR ran a story about aliens and all of this stuff 2 weeks ago. And so it's starting to float around in our subconscious. And I think whether you read it or you hear it or not, it starts becoming part of the collective.
Well, there's so many people who have stories of sightings, maybe some abductions, or, they feel like they've been taken to craft. There have been a lot of credible scientists, geophysicists, researchers, astronomers, astronauts, who are really coming forward with very credible stories. And they're all fascinating.
Well, okay, so there is this one fella, and I want to have him on the show if we can. And he's a physicist, and he worked he worked in, I think it was area 50, what is it?
51.
So he was like in 54, 55 or something like that. And I just downloaded his books, and you can find him on YouTube. His name is Charlie something. Anyway.
That'll get you there, Charlie.
Well, it will. He played with the, his whole job was to interact with the tall whites. And he said, oh yeah, they're tall, they're white, they're an aggressive species, they're an aggressive byproduct of the grays, but not aggressive as we know it, but aggressive as in they're not just really, passive hanging out. Like, you don't touch their children. You have to go through the parents to talk to the kids. Anyway, he has this whole story. And this is a scientist, military. I mean, and he said, yeah, that was my job. And they called it, I think, Dreamland. And he dealt with them, and they approved him. And why he's still here, I'm not sure. I think he actually talks about that, because a lot of times people disappear when they start talking about this stuff.
Well,
So
if you
disappear.
listen to Corey Good at all, David Wilcox's Cosmic Disclosure and his channel, they go in depth into these government programs and how Corey was,
Secret space program.
as a child, part of this program and interacting with the aliens, the extraterrestrials that were coming to our planet, that were interacting with us, and there's just episodes and episodes about all of the interaction that goes on.
And you watch him, and I always kind of feel this stuff out, because there are a lot of interesting folks out there with a different spin, and his stuff is so he did not want to come out. I mean, this person outed him. Carrie, I forget her last name, she outed him and said his name, and so he was like, oh, I just want to do my life and kind of help out, and next thing you know, he's front and center. But yeah, it is.
Okay,
it's
Charles
amazing.
Hall is his name. Thank you, ladies,
Thank
for sending
you.
Charles Hall.
He's fascinating.
David is tuning in. Hi, David. Our friend David.
Hi,
and Birdie.
David.
Pam is saying, I will have an experience. Just be patient. We go to ECETI. Yeah, I'd love to actually get up there to go to ECETI.
We are going.
Okay, Michael, what makes you think they're using technology? Tell me what you mean by that. Like, because I think, in the galactic world are rather primitive, and using technology to better our world, clean energy healing to better our bodies. I'm just wondering what you mean by that.
Oh, and Pam, you're right. You're right. He did say that Charles Hall will always be protected because I
Due
think
to the tall whites interaction.
And they were also saying, like, he wrote these books. It's a trilogy, and he wrote the books, and he actually wrote all this stuff down for his kids. He had his intention was not to put it out there and make a bunch of money. His intention was just to pass it on to his kids because it was so phenomenal, and he knew that. And so that's really cool.
Well,
and David Cossidus, he's seen a lot of cool stuff in the air.
Yeah. I mean, and I know just from speaking with Spirit, I know that there's other alien worlds, and we've had David McCready on many times, and he's a teacher of astral projection, and using astral projection, he has gone out to visit all of these different alien worlds and species and kind of make liaisons and ambassadors all over, and he's kind of reported back in his book Real Alien World. So I'm just fascinated by reading, and he's saying, on our planet we have bacteria and viruses and insects and mammals, and we have this huge diversity of life. There's all that kind of diversity of life out there too, all the reptiles, that's all out there, and it's all seeded. We're all hybrid versions of each other. So tell me what else you got there, sister.
Okay, so it is. I was just reading. I was looking more, and I love the way this guy puts this, and I hate it because I did not write his name down, though I will put it on the website to give credit where credit is due. So it's talking about energy paths and how we have linked, and it's in forgive me, I'm going to read this, but what these ancient civilizations did was to create a pattern that we today are identifying and connecting. We believe that these monuments were not placed randomly. Today, researchers believe that embedded in the megalithic construction hides a secret code that can explain how and why and who built and organized these incredible monuments that are scattered across the planet.
So we're talking about the megaliths, all the different pyramids, Stonehenge, Easter Island, all of these.
Teotihuacan. I don't know if I said that right. But Stonehenge, did you guys know that they found caverns underneath recently, as recent as 2014? I know, and you're from England. Shame on you. It is as early as 24 or as late as 2014, and basically, I mean, there are tons of these rooms, like acres. So that's really cool, and they did it with 3D. I didn't tell you this. They did it with 3D technology.
Okay.
They didn't actually go under and mess them up, which is actually really, really nice. So, all right, what else do you want to talk about? Oh, you want to talk about the Star Child?
Yeah.
All right, so there is this in Mexico. There's so much magic that happens in Mexico, Central America, South America. And this woman in 1935 came across this cave. In this cave, there was a body, a little small person, and then a little tiny person. And what they think is, and the smallish person, she's about 5 feet tall, she buried this little thing, and all they had left is the skull. Anyway, so the folklore, or not the folklore, but the story was she buried it and left the hand, and then she held the hand, and then she took her own life in this cave. And so this person in 1935, and that was thousands of years ago, I think maybe 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And so the person that came across it in 1935 kept the skull of the little person. Why?
But it's a huge head, right?
It is. And so they've done all, anyway, it made its way to this scientist, and this family had it, and then they gave it to this scientist, and they've done DNA testing on it. They've done all of these different things, and they thought it was encephalitis. They thought it was bound, and so they go through this, all of these different ideas. Turns out, the biggest one is, it's a white, or it's a small gray. It's a small gray. Isn't that incredible? So as testing
but they did
progresses,
DNA testing, right?
They
now that
did.
they have more advanced DNA testing, and there's some of the chromosomes they can't identify.
Right. Exactly.
So they think it's a new type. It could
new type of
possibly be
species.
a different species.
They said that it
Or
was
it's part human, parts.
It was not. They said
No.
it's not a hybrid, that it is completely different. And that's what he was saying, is that it was like they had to wait for technology to catch up with it. And this thing is incredible. And it is, let's see, what else did they say about it? I don't know. This guy's fascinating. I'll put it on the website because it is, so that way you can check it out. Or you can go to starchild.com. And the star child, they called it a child because they thought that's what it was, and they came back and said, no, its teeth are too ground down for it to be a kid. It wouldn't happen. So that's pretty groovy.
And what about all like the Nazca Lines, all that you?
Are those not? So you're the one that told me, you brought that to my attention earlier. But they have these glyphs, these geoglyphs, and they're in the shape and the pattern of animals and geometry, and they're massive, and they're 1,000 years old, and they don't know if they were lines that, again, could be energy lines, kind of showing it, kind of fancying it up, or it could be that that's how, like, the flying people came in, and that's how they knew, oh, I need to go to the bird, or I need to go, because that's what we do, it's like, okay, you go to the big tree, take a right, that they were more like guidelines. And they're really cool. Oh,
And a lot of them you can only see from the air.
well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, I will, when we put this on YouTube, I'll drop in the pictures, all of the things that we're talking about. And what about aliens and art?
Oh, there's a lot of historical art.
A lot of historical art.
And,
That's exactly right.
Hieroglyphics and things that have what look like alien ships, flying saucers with lights up in the sky.
Not even that. I mean, not just that. They have the ones that look like ships, like ships, like a boat. They look like helicopters. There you go. And they look like, they have all of this incredible technology, just carved in thousands of years ago. Again, so how do we think that we're the first ones here when you really start to connect all these interesting dots?
Well, and there's a lot of people out there now who are channeling aliens, and I know our sweet friend Carrie is having a lot of fun with her friend channeling aliens and bringing down their messages and developing relationships with them. It's just kind of mind blowing, and I believe them. I believe they're having these experiences, and it's really cool to hear. So you've had your star charts kind of read, and you've kind of helped identify your star family. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I had another experience with Wendy Hutchinson yesterday. I didn't tell you about this because we were busy doing this, but it is. So I found on someone that James Gilliland had spoken to at one point, and this woman, she's incredible. Turns out she's from Houston, of course, And it is, I say that because I keep finding all these people from Texas in just this World Wide Web. But it is, what she does is she has this incredible ability to, all you send her is your birthday, where you were born, and your name. That's it. And she comes back with this long report, who your star family is, what your name is, how old, how many times you've been on Earth. Anyway, so, and I thought, I don't know who she is. I was just kind of playing with it for the show just to see how it felt. Well, I got the information back and it was spot on. I mean, I say that it dovetailed in with a lot of things that I had already experienced. For example, it's just so weird to talk. I don't like talking about myself in that way, but it is, I had, and one day I'd asked my guides, what is my whatever name? I don't know even what to, I have issues with that. I have issues with when I'm not Carrie, who am I? And I know everybody answers it for me, but I haven't found the one that I really set well with.
Higher self name?
Yeah, there's a higher self, but then there's an oversoul, and there's just all kinds of stuff up there. But anyway, so and the name was the same name that they'd given me. The woman sent me a name and said, this is actually your name. You have 3 kids. You're Arcturian. You have, and there are all these different things in my life.
What was the name?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
But who else gave you the same name?
This woman. And I'll put it on the website. So this woman, so I'd asked in meditation one day, what is my name? And so I'd written something down, like, that's interesting. And so she gave me the same name. And years afterwards. And she said, this is your name. You have 3 children. From high priestess of this Stargate.
High priestess of a Stargate?
It sounds really cool.
Tell me what
I'm
that
not sure.
means.
I don't know what it means. So, anyway, and so but I do have 3 kids and I have a husband and all this stuff.
Okay,
so
parallel lives, but you're a high priestess of a Stargate.
Yeah, badass, huh? No, and I'm this tall blue being, and Arcturians are really tall.
But you've had the tall blue beings show up in your Marconics.
I have, and I've had them show up just with me. But the other day, or yesterday, I was with Wendy, and man, this Marconics is just a.
So Marconics is energy healing. Wendy Hutchinson is our Houston practitioner that we love. She's been on the show many times.
She's a good friend.
And she brings this multidimensional energy down into your body to help align you, to help you on your way, to help you be the best version of you, heal you.
And uncap. So the idea is we've been capped. They sort of like kind of altered our DNA, and they've capped us. And so one day I was sitting and I was like, I really want all my DNA turned on, because they're like 90+% of our DNA is junk DNA. They have no idea what it does. So if you read Cryon, you can read all these different places of, where they say that you start activating your DNA. So I was like, I really want to activate my DNA. I want to walk through walls and whatever. So she wrote me like that day or the next day, and she said, oh, by the way, this is what I do. I do Marconics, and I want to say hi. And I think I've told this story, but I got halfway through and I cried and I called her. I was like, I just had to talk. Schedule me. She's like, well, why don't you come for a no touch? That's sort of the
light version.
The light version. I was like, no, I want to be recalibrated. That's what I'm supposed to do. And so we did, and it's just been a mind blower. So I went yesterday, and these beings show up, and my being from the other side showed up. I can't believe I'm saying this on air, but anyway, she showed up. The 3 kids showed up. A commander person showed up. Jesus and Mary showed up, which, by the way, Catholics, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. The art, the jewelry, everything is so cool. But you guys don't own Mary. You just don't own Mary. Mary is this. Mary belongs to everybody, and she is just this earth energy, this divine, beautiful earth energy. And I had them up here, and the kids said hi, and so. Then she showed me my other side of me. She showed me, it was like a piece of glass. And I was on this side looking into her world, and she was on that side looking into my world. I know, isn't that wild? And so it was...
She's like, she's a human. She's badass.
And
I know, right?
No, she's probably saying, poor thing, we need to help her. But it's...
That's not
so,
true.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. It was really cool. So anyway, so that was my star galactic. And then I just remember, there had just been these little synchronicities, like Arcturus. You know, I mean, I had a friend when I was really, really young who had a boat by that name, and that's the boat I stayed on, and that's just stuck with me. I don't remember anything from my childhood. And then we had, there have been Orion's belt. I've always looked up at the sky and said, those are my stars. And that's where it is. And apparently they might be.
I was seeing if Mitch had jumped on this morning because he has had some really cool ET experiences, but I don't think he's joined us on Facebook Live yet. But if you guys have, let us know. Drop a line in here. We want to hear because we'll spell Wendy Hutchinson. I'll put the it's alinealifecoaching.com. I'll put her website.
She was on the show last week.
She was on our show last week. You can find her.
So what we're thinking about doing is sort of doing more of what Tiffany and I like. I mean, we love to talk to people, and we'll still do that, but we also want to share with you things that we picked up along the way. And I promise you I will be clearer. This was just like a cram. This was like 2 weeks worth of work that I did in the last two days, and so it's swimming in my head. So I will write it out. But Tiff is so, you're right. You're so earth and grounding, and it's and share what you, because you know all of this stuff, and I'm like, what? How do I not know that? I mean, you love that, and it's so close to you. You own all the books. How do I not know that? And so there's so many wonderful things. So we want to kind of do these different, like, we'll start with this idea and then the next, and we'll just keep going, and with the alien thing, or with the healing, and with different stars, and with different, I don't know. That's our idea.
Yeah. So, and you guys let us know what you want to talk about and experience, or if you have people that you think we should interview or have on the show that have had really cool expertise or experience. Let us know, because we're all open for it. This is a community
Thank
of
you,
love.
Birdie.
All right. Have we gone
I
through
miss
all
Birdie.
have we gone through all of your hidden in plain sight things that aliens?
No.
Tell us some more. It's fascinating.
All right, so here we go. Hold on to your hats. This one's a mind blower. All right, so the Sumerian civilization. I've always heard that word. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I've heard about it, but I don't really know much. And then over here, I hear about this Planet X, Nibiru. It's
Nibiru.
Nibiru.
It's called Planet X or Nibiru.
Right. And so you know, a little bit about that. I kind of don't know. I kind of stick with what feels right. And then, so in all this research, what I have found is that the reason we do tend to go in and rewrite history, which is a shame, like the Mayans, that's one of the most beautiful cultures, and they're so advanced, and the Aboriginals, I mean, they're these elders, and I would love to do a show just on the ancient religions, because that, I think, is where our true history is. So the Sumerians, they carved on these tablets, these clay tablets. And I think that with the Romans and the Greeks and everybody, I think what they did, it was so easy to burn it, or the papyrus was just destroyed. So these tablets have stayed intact, and there are a lot of them.
Sumerian texts? Is that what it's
called?
Yeah,
exactly. And they're carvings. I mean, they're engraved. And so, I think they've taken most of them away, but they transcribed 20% of them, and they quickly went away. So, and from what I understand, and this is from a source, but from what I understand, it came back. These tablets said, oh, this is our true history, or this is our history. There was no true at that point. I mean, it just was what it was. And we are, how do I say this? It is, they mapped out our solar system, and they included all the planets, and 2 of them that we hadn't even discovered yet. I think we discovered 2 of our planets in like the 1700s and one in the 1800s. So I think they kind of said, ooh, wow, there's a lot of fact to this, and that's why I think they got kind of put away. So so what they believe, and James talks a lot about this, James
Gilliland?
Yeah, that there's this planet, Nibiru, and it's on an orbit that is really far out. It takes like thousands of years for it to come back, and that the Anunnaki, which they're the aliens, but all it means is it comes from the heavens, and that they came to Earth looking for gold, and I mean, and this is where the text sort of divides. Some people think that they enslaved us. Most people think that no, that's not the case. That it was actually a really good joining, and that they altered the DNA of the Neanderthal, but we sort of made them our gods. But most of them left, and there were a couple of them that stayed, and the ones that stayed consciously kind of fell. They kind of liked being the gods, and anyway, so that's our true history. Who knows? But it would make sense if people came from above and came to this world.
So the
those
Sumerian,
are the
texts have been found, but only a small percentage have actually been transcribed, so we don't really know the full depth of what those texts say.
No, I think it's kind of mind-blowing.
I want to know more. I want to know more about what all these texts say. Okay, Wendy Hutchison has just jumped on.
Wendy.
So Wendy, you missed it, but we were talking about Marconics,
And you.
people were asking about Wendy Hutchison. So
And
here
you
on the
yesterday.
text, you can find her. Their tablets are in cuneiform, an amazing field to study. Yeah, if any of y'all know more about those, please let us know or send us some
What does it
resources.
say? Oh yeah.
The cuneiform tablets, the Sumerian texts. What else you got?
Is that so? That's what it's called. Okay. So yep. So that's what I had. Oh, okay. So there are these giants. They're the red-headed, the bearded giants. And I know Corey Good talks a lot about this. David Wilcock talks about this, but then other people do too. There was a video, and of course I looked at this first. I'm like, anybody can do a video. But there's a video that came out in a while back. In the 90s, maybe? Anyway, and it's of this, maybe after that, but this these red-headed people, I'm thinking you're from some sort of interesting line. Anyway, these red-headed, bearded people, and they were wearing these incredible, like, big tablets of gold and these incredible headdresses. And
in sarcophaguses,
and they
right?
were in these sarcophaguses, yes. And they were, they were really big, and the sarcophaguses were small, so they're sort of crouched down. And they're still alive, and it's from thousands of years ago.
They think they're in a
Stasis.
some kind of homeostasis where their time is different for them. They're aging at a much slower rate than we do.
Well, it was a technology that was given to them by off-planet beings, and it's this bubble that they're in. And so for them, they lay down, it's a 20-minute nap. They wake up, and it's been 30,000 years later. Isn't that wild? But I couldn't. So first Corey said, that one that they found is not alive. And then he came back and said, yes, they actually found out it was alive. And that these are all over the planet.
Alive?
Yeah, they're alive. They're biologically alive. And so, because they're in this stasis. And that they're all over the planet. They're in South America, Central America, Russia. They're everywhere. And they call them magi. They call them magic. That they're magic. Because of this technology. Now, isn't that cool?
I wonder when they're going to wake up.
Or where are they?
Why are they here? Where'd they come from?
They're in the basement of the Smithsonian. No, no, they're here. They're from here. They're from here. And that with the technology from off planet, they decided to take a rest, to hit snooze. So be careful. You may take your afternoon nap and wake up, and it's a totally different world. So,
gosh, there's just so many mysteries that just kind of blow my mind, and you just realize that there's so much. We get into our little world of
Mitch is here.
Of work and school and kids and social and our little Fox News or whatever you watch. You get into your little bubble, and there's so much more going on out there.
There really is. Okay, so now that Mitch is here, we can talk about this. So, Baalbek, Mitch. You had told me a little bit about it, and it was funny because you said it super fast, and you just talk really fast sometimes. And from what I understand, it is this massive monolith that is built. It was a structure built on top of a structure, and they said that these stones, they're like 68 feet long, and they weigh tons, like over 1,200 tons, and they moved from Egypt. They made them in Egypt, and they put them in Lebanon. Is that right? Okay, where are you, Mitch? Anyway, so it is, and I believe I remember him saying that it was actually a landing strip, but I'm not really sure if they took those and put them.
But how did they cut those massive rocks and move them, and why would they cut such huge?
I don't know.
Stones. All these great mysteries.
I know. I don't know, but it's fascinating. And so that's Baalbek, Baalbek. Yeah. Is that right? Baalbek? Baalbek. And it's in Lebanon. And so what they do, and I know that they've done this before, where they take a sacred site and then they build another one on top of it. So the Romans came in, and it's their biggest one on Earth. And it is the biggest
but they didn't build.
rock.
Yeah, they didn't. They've repurposed something that was already there.
Correct. And it was interesting because they build it, because usually you put the base down and then you put the smaller ones on top. It's opposite. They put these small rocks on top and then the base. And I don't know. But there was something else. I'll wait for. Oh, there it is. The cedar forest? I don't understand. Okay, so the Watchers are not to be awakened. Ooh, that sounds
Don't wake up
cryptic.
the Watchers.
Are those the Watchers? So the guys in Stasis are the Watchers?
I don't know. This is all new to me.
Bum, 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 bum. Yep. Okay. Yes. So I wonder where they are. And I know that, anyway, I won't talk about the people with no name, but it is, it's just fascinating. I want to know more about Baal, because
We're going to have to break down these, each one of these, and do more shows. And I love like ancient aliens and unexplained things like that are all over Discovery and
Launch
National
pads.
Geographic and things like that really go into depth with a lot of scientific analysis and historical data and, other eyewitness accounts that kind of verify all this, because so much of it is kind of up for interpretation. Like, well, it could have been this, it could have been this.
or they won't touch it because you don't want to be the laughing stock, or you don't want to be the one,
Yeah.
They're
And it takes a lot of time and money to research and do all of this,
takes a lot of
DNA and DNA analysis and carbon dating and all that.
But there's okay. So I plan on going to Guatemala this summer. I've just decided. I want to do I want to take the family and do Spanish and stay a while. And I don't know. Anyway, so, and I would love to work with the elders. I would love to find some Mayan elders. I don't know, I think you find them, they find you. But there's so much magic there, and I want to know more. I want to know more about all this. I cut you off. Okay, what did Mitch say?
Mitch is saying the ones in Antarctica.
I didn't even touch the Antarctica.
Hi, Daryl. Daryl's starting to learn how to use his energy and move.
Bonjour.
Telekinesis. You're getting really good, I hear. We
getting
need to
really
come and
good.
do a little practical demonstration for me so I can learn how to do it myself. What else you got?
Yesterday, I was talking to Miss Wendy yesterday, and we were both saying the same thing, and she was adamant. She's been saying this for a while. It's time to wake up. And I actually used Daryl as the example. It is time to wake up, and it's time to get on your path. And because we need to anchor light, and we need, and I'm learning more about, the more I find and the more I research, so much of this was power grid. It was power grid, and it's bringing these powers, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So if we have this grid and then we're anchoring this energy going by, I think that's really an interesting thing.
Well, that's what Wendy with Marconics is saying, that this new energy is coming to Earth, and and Heather Huff, everybody's saying, it's our turn to ground this energy. It's really important to be very aware, clean up your own vibration, literally ground the energy into the Earth to help heal her and help us just transform and develop into these higher states.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly
the
right.
enlightenment, the ascension.
So something else I saw yesterday, which was really cool. I saw it was a tree of life, big, with all these, various roots, this just incredible root system. But at the top, when I looked up at the top of it, it was another globe, like it was another world. And then on the other side of that was the tree of life, like upside down.
Where'd you see this?
In my Marconics. Marconics is really cool. It's like a trip without the acid.
You need to draw what you see.
I did. I drew
would
it
love
for
you
her.
to. Oh, okay. I want to see.
Okay. All right.
Because Carrie goes to get these energy treatments and comes out, and she's seen all the other dimensions. She's
Really
seen
cool.
the energy grid. She's seen parallel lives, and like you said, you saw them looking back at you, and you looking back at them.
Like, hello.
Hi.
Like tapping on the glass. Well, and there are so many other things that we would like to talk about, and I want to know just more magic out there. And if you guys have other things that you want us to research, really send it in, because it is we will, and we would like to take this. We want to talk about the energy lines, and we want to talk about the various, like the Bermuda Triangle, and there's a triangle that goes
Atlantis
from Easter
and
Island,
Lemuria. I mean, there's so much there that
and the Antarctica. Also
what's
going in
under
there.
what's under our Antarctica.
I don't know. I think that's where they're going to bring up the big ship. But so let's see. Wendy says, what does she say? I can't read.
I think the planet was the blue Andromeda.
Oh, yes. You know, it very well could be.
Oh, the one on the Tree of Life.
Yep. The cedar forest is Lebanon.
I want to say thank you to everybody who is joining us on Facebook Live. I love all your comments. I love that you reach out. We are so happy you're on this ride with us and that you're interested in this kind of stuff too. And we are as we're growing and expanding, we're getting more intelligent and being able to speak about it a little bit better. So thank
Yes.
you for being on this ride with us.
Thank
We
you.
love you.
This is our first show on this stuff, so thank
I
you for bearing
know,
with us.
I
We will be
know.
more prepared next time. I will.
Have a great week, everybody. Happy week. Bye.
Bye, guys.